Good morning. Glauco this BJJ episode 21, if I remember correctly. I'm on my rocking chair. Um, I'm going to talk about my first BJJ training in Switzerland after having trained for an extended period of time in Lecce at Tribe Jiu Jitsu. So, it went pretty good. We did the drills we usually do at the gym here at Fusion. Is we do some yoga drills in the beginning to warm up, and we do some just proper falling and this and that. But even before all of these warm ups, I actually had a very warm welcome by some of the gym buddies there that train that I didn't even expect. Sometimes I fall into like certain stereotypes, or I think about certain Swiss stereotypes, like, oh yeah, everybody's just doing their own business. But I actually had a very warm welcome by some of the guys there, and that made me very happy. And saw the coach. He was like, "Oh, how was Italy?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, "Yeah, Italy was pretty cool." And I trained there, and he's like, "Oh, great, great, awesome, nice, nice, good that you're back." So we did the warm up drills, and the last warm up drill usually is a takedown, and so we went from the solo drills to the partner takedown drills, and then and then it was interesting because I got paired up with a gentleman which shall remain nameless. I want to be more professional. So I have met this gentleman that I trained with technique. We did, close guard, we did flower sweep, uh, pendulum sweep, and hip bump sweep, and some submissions. But I'll get into those later. So that guy, basically, like 1 month into training, like not even 1 month or so, I sprained my thumb while rolling. Actually, it was a flow roll, and this guy was the guy that did that. And I remember I resented him for so long, and he never ever showed up again. I'm like, where is this guy? And my injury, if you want to call it that, because it was was it was a minor injury still, compared to some other injuries. And I continued to train. I mean, it sucked because it was hurting for quite a long time. It took a couple of months to fully heal, but I ended up, I didn't mention it to him. I just recognized him after a while. I'm like, "Oh, okay." But he told me in the beginning of the session, like, please, let's take it easy. I broke my foot. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. So in the timeline, shortly after this happened, he broke his foot and was completely out for 4 months. And now he's slowly coming back. And then I'm like, damn. Well, first of all, I was like, well, I guess I got lucky with my injury. And second, I was like, serves you right, you motherfucker. No, I'm just kidding. I was upset because we were flow rolling and he was just, doing fast movements and slammed his knee over my thumb while I was, trying to defend. But I was an idiot because I had my thumb out like this trying to defend. That's when I learned this. But anyways, so we got into the technique drill. He does more no-gi training, so I was a little bit more comfortable in the gi. But he was training for like over a year and a half. So We did close guard in general, and we did the flower sweep, and we learned it like this. So basically, your opponent grabs you somewhere, you release the grab, you grab like this, and then you go figure four, whoosh, and then you push it to the side. I'm showing you now with his right arm. You push it to the side, then you grab around to his left shoulder, get some cotton, and then you pick his panty, and then you open up your guard slightly, do a little twist like this, put this leg into his armpit and the other one lower, and then you just whoop, sweep like that. And yeah, that worked pretty well. Then the alternative would be the pendulum sweep, which instead of grabbing the panty, you reach under his leg, like through his leg, and it's the left thigh, and then you do it like that. And the hip bump sweep, I had a little bit of trouble, but my partner, maybe wasn't doing his part right. The hip bump sweep is when they refuse to go down. If they lean up like this, that's when you can go with them and do a hip bump sweep. And if I remember correctly, for the hip bump sweep, you would, for instance, tuck your right calf into their knee pit or something. And as they lean up, you go up with them, you reach over their left arm, you grab it, you post with your right hand, your right arm, and then you just bump them over like that. So, more or less, I'm still having some issues with that. And then we did some submissions. I did the triangle submission, and I actually learned some details. So the very most important detail I learned was when I did the triangle, I pushed everything like this. I pushed my leg, I pushed my, like this. But I need to like crunch. So when I do it like this, I need to crunch like inward like that. That has more of an effect. That's one thing. The other thing is that the shoulder cannot be like in there. It has to be fully not in there. I don't know how to explain it, but that's when you can really lock in the triangle. And for me, for my longest legs, I didn't think it was necessary, but actually it was quite the opposite. It's very necessary to be in a slight tilt. So you have to, with your left foot, before you lock it in, you have to really get the angle to the side, and then they are cooked. So that's definitely something that if we do some more close guard, I really want to do it again, because I feel like triangle is very, very cool. Yeah, and then he showed us some different stuff, some arm bars, but I didn't get into the arm bar. I was just practicing the triangle. And the guy that trained with me, that fucked up my thumb long time ago, he was actually the one giving me really good advice on the triangle. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, then the sparring. I sparred like 3 rounds, and I realized like after 5 rounds it's done, and the rounds feel shorter. I don't know. I feel like in Italy we used to roll a lot more, like almost twice as much. And so I rolled like 2 white belts, and then I rolled a blue belt, and I did pretty well for the most part. I defended well. The first one was like a tattooed white belt guy, and he wanted to do stand up, so I like, okay, let's do stand up. Don't even remember how all of that went down, but I think at some point I sweeped him from somewhere, I was in tight control, like bottom, and I sweeped him. And then I tried to get something going, but he wouldn't give me anything, and I couldn't progress to a better situation. And then the round was already over. And then he was like, "Wow, you must be a judo guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but 20 years ago, man, that's a long time ago." Anyways, that was that. And I was already expecting more spazziness because that's what I remembered from this school here, because they let the white belts run a little too wild in my opinion, which in Italy that's where they are really, paying attention to not let them go crazy so much. But if you anticipate the craziness, you can actually find a lot of openings and defend really well if you really know, oh, they're gonna get crazy. And so, what do you know? The second white belt, he was also crazy, and but he was very very small, and so we were matched up. He's like, yeah, cool, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm not gonna go all in because he was like my 40 kilos less or something. But then he decided to go all in, and then I'm like, dude, chill, it's okay. And he decided not to chill, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta match a little intensity here. That's what I did. I don't remember also what happened, but I think I got on mount though. Yeah, one time I submitted him with a triangle, and one time I went on mount and I got on high mount, and his arms was like this, and then he just tapped to pressure. Not want to tap myself on the back here. I'm just trying to explain that the Italy training was really good, and I came back very, very secure, safe, and confident. Not overconfident, but just more security. And then the last was a blue belt, and it was a back and forth thingy. He was actually also a little bit spazzy, and I did the infamous Glauco pendulum sweep from bottom side control, and he was like, "Whoa, that was awesome!" But I'm sure I didn't invent this, but that's one thing I remember. I also remember him punching me in the face accidentally, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it's fine. We just continue." And that's about it. That was the sparring. I wanted to like sit one out and then spar again, but then it was already over. I'm like, okay, damn. So that was the training. I talked to the Swiss coach here, and I explained the philosophy they had in Italy and how I could train more because everybody was more chilled. And he was like, "Wow, that's really good." And I saw you already implementing a lot of stuff. And he watched me during the training, and I think he was very happy with what I was doing. So yeah, anyways, that was the first training coming back. Tonight there is the next training, and I will keep documenting these. Yeah, that's really it. See you around.